I'm impatient with many things in life, and games are no different. That's why, when everyone else is sitting in jars and filling their hands with cards, I'm sticking with Odin and kicking them right in the summoning stones. I guess I'm probably descended distantly to Ragnar Lothbrok himself. Either that or the cold weather in Scotland makes Norse my natural choice. I downloaded Hand of the Gods 5 days ago, and today I hit Masters level 1 with full gems. This means I can't get demoted. Time to pull out my Hive/Obelisk Bellona deck the world just isn't ready for. This guide video will go over not only one deck, but the 3 main iterations I used as my collection evolved and rank grew. The first thing I'll go over is the main crafting goals I had. The first thing I really wanted was the legendary card Mercenary. It's my favourite part of the deck, and it's a neutral too, which means you can use it with other pantheons. It's a 2 mana with charge and a Warcry which gives it +1/1 for every enemy next to your stone. What makes it so good is its flexibility. It's great in so many situations. You can use it early for a nice boost to board control, or you can use it late to finish off your opponent. Don't be afraid to use it early. Using it with just 2 minions down gives you a 2 mana 3/3 with charge, which is great value and an insane tempo play. It synergizes well with your god power, both sigils and Skadi's cheap 1 mana drops. Speaking of Skadi, she was my next goal. I was lucky enough to get one from packs. Don't shy off spending your favour in packs. Arena does work out as better value, but Impatience is overpowered. As soon as I got 300 favour, I got a pack like a junkie after their fix. I was stuck with 1 Skadi until I could scrabble together the requisite 80 dust. I did buy the Founders and Venus packs soon after my first couple games. I got about 150 dust from those, so I'd estimate it took me just over 30 free-to-play packs to get hooked up. On my way to saving up, I only crafted a few key commons and rares to keep me going. The first deck I'm going to talk about is the one I used the longest, from rank 25 to 5. Unless otherwise stated, assume it's 2 of each card I mention. It's got Mayhem, Warriors and Hunter's Sigil, Crippling Curse. Don't be afraid to use this earlier on to get board dominance. You will get slaughtered if you try to save everything for the perfect situation. It's 2 mana for a reason. Be reckless. Mercenary, as already mentioned. Ratatosker's value is nuts. You've got a 2 mana, 2/3 +1 random damage, which is great for hitting the stone and taking out minions at the same time if RNGesus is with you. 2 Chaos Spawns and 1 Skadi. I'd drop a spawn for 2 Skadis once you get both of them, but spawn are amazing in the meantime. Don't be tempted to remove spawn for a minion with better stats. The Warcry can't be undervalued. It's great when dealing with those snowballing Sobeks we're seeing so much of. Surters are great for painting pictures on the board with your minions. Really think about your positioning with this guy to get the maximum effect. He's also got a nice health pool, so if you need the 1 damage charge, use it. I often use him for clear, then move him to the backline as a buffer. The next 2 cards have hilarious interactions. Zabian Scout creates zombies in case your Odin is having a Mayan identity crisis. This creates a safeguard against mass enemy removal. This combined with Carrier Behemoth, which does direct damage per unit death, is very satisfying. Often it may look like the opponent has the upper hand with their big threats out, but they can't attack your army because suicide. The last cards are Thor, Freya, Fire Giant and 1 Blade Master. Thanks to the Fire Giant and Blade Master, this deck could really hold its own in those games that ran a little longer than usual for Odin. My second iteration went more aggressive. I took out the Fire Giant and Blade Master and replaced them with 1 Scion of Doom and 1 Siege Stone. These are both cheap cards, so you can jump straight to this version depending on your own collection. My final deck utilises a lot of early clear spells. Bear in mind I'm still trying different things, but right now it's as follows. Dagaz, Mayhem, Anzos. All omens from Anzos have their place, but I usually find that the 2 damage is the best in most situations. 1 Crippling Curse, Fate, Hunter's Sigil, Mercenary, Ratatosker, Imperial Guards. They synergize really well with the addition of all these cheap spells. The rest is similar to the other decks. 1 Siege, 2 Skadis for the win, Surtur, Thor, Freya, and I also added Blade Master back in, as that charge 4 damage often helps me get the turn 7 win. This last deck is probably actually the cheapest, and Freya and Blade Master have plenty of cheap alternatives. Maybe try Stropes and Fender in their place, or just choose some cheaper options from my other decks. These 3 decks all have different strengths and weaknesses, especially when you factor in what god your opponent's playing. I don't actually think one is definitively better than the rest. Try them all and see what suits you. Let's talk strategy. In terms of mulligan, Ratatoskr is the dream. It's always a strong turn 1 regardless of who your opponent is. Skadi is of course Bay, which I've already mentioned. Mana potting her out turn 1 is really nice, as is mana potting her and her puppy out turn 3, which gives your opponent less time and cards to deal with their interaction. While this is an aggressive pantheon and play style, not all games are won super early. There are quite a few tools in your kit to end a game which may seem in your opponent's favour. Thor, Siege, Blade Master, your God Power, Mercenary, Behemoth, Scout, Fire Giant. This deck has so many ways to win. With this playstyle, early stone damage is of course a priority, but early on, control is key, and knowing when to hit the stone and when to hit your opponent is vital. It's all about taking the most valuable and necessary trades and smacking the stone when you can. Finally, don't overextend. Sometimes you do have to gamble and your draw and board state leaves you no choice but to go ham, but don't always unthinkingly vomit out all your minions onto the board. If you already have decent control, maybe don't spawn Thor right before Raz turn 6 legendary clear. Consider other options before placing all your faith in Sigil before Raz turn 4 Kepri. Above all, have fun and laugh at your misplays. With this deck, your next deck is just round the corner. Thanks for watching, and do feel free to ask any questions in the comments, and I will try to help.